As tensions rise across Europe, three seemingly peaceful countries, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, are preparing for war in the starkest way possible. Picture this: once serene landscapes where families gathered for coffee now echo with the anxiety of impending conflict.
Millions are being trained for mass evacuation, not from natural disasters, but from the very real threat of war.
What leads nations to such drastic measures?
With 6 million residents on edge, the governments are implementing emergency plans, urging every citizen to register for safety updates, all through an app. Yes, it sounds surreal, like something out of a dystopian novel, a world where a button press could mean the difference between safety and chaos.
But let's face it, in a real crisis, will smartphones even work?
Now, imagine the irony: people hurriedly scanning their phones while far-off military preparations churn amidst growing tensions. The looming threat isn't just distant, it feels surreal when streets that once buzzed with laughter now serve as evacuation routes.
What drives this unsettling urgency? Could it be the belief that one's survival hinges on the quick tap of a screen? Yet the reality is grim: if bullets start flying, those apps will likely go dark. While fear grips the Baltics, further afield, the struggles between Europe and its geopolitical adversaries intensify. The US is embroiled in its own conflicts, and amidst this tumult, leaders like Zelensky maintain a facade of control. Everything is under control, they claim, but is it really? The world is shifting, yet the narrative remains stubbornly optimistic. Even as fear seeps into everyday life. Consider the peculiar situation in Vilnius, where citizens practice evacuations using their smartphones. They follow complex protocols as if preparing for a festival rather than a war. In an astonishing twist, 100 individuals are rehearsing scenarios with all the seriousness of a theater production, but there's no audience to applaud. The stakes are devastatingly high. Why do they mobilize with such zeal when the front is miles away? Is it denial of the inevitable, or a ritual meant to mask their collective anxieties? What emerges from these practices is genuinely unsettling, a mix of absurdity and dread. Dressed in civilian clothes, families stand beneath signs pointing to evacuation routes, their expressions a jumbled mix of confusion and determination. The sounds of sirens blend with the silence that follows, creating a haunting atmosphere of both resilience and fear. Are they ready for a reality that could change in an instant? In this surreal performance of preparedness, questions loom large. What does it mean for nations to train for disasters they hope will never come? And as the world watches, will these rehearsals become a tragic reality? The curtain is about to rise on a new act, but will it be one of triumph or tragedy? As we follow the developments in the Baltics, the real show may be unfolding around us, one where the lines between safety and chaos blur, leaving everyone wondering how to navigate the road ahead. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia have entered a state of preparation, training for a mass evacuation as the specter of war looms ever closer. While the sun sets peacefully over the Baltic coasts, where tourists once savored coffee, fear now lurks beneath the surface. Millions are ready to flee, not from natural disasters, but from a potential conflict that threatens their very way of life. In this unsettling climate, the three nations, home to 6 million residents, dare to ask, what if? Training sessions, officially aimed at bolstering civil defense, feel almost surreal. What should be routine drills for emergency preparedness morph into bizarre spectacles of panic. As citizens practice evacuation, smartphones buzz with alerts, urging them to register on evacuation apps. The irony of seeking safety in a world so tethered to technology is palpable. If tranquility exists, why are they simulating scenarios for an exodus? The atmosphere in Vilnius captures the perplexing duality of hope and tension. Residents gather at designated pleasant points, holding smartphones as lifelines, glancing nervously at one another. They seek direction in an organized chaos, questioning their safety while half-heartedly clinging to normalcy. How can one truly prepare for calamity when it feels like a scene pulled from a theater stage? In a chilling twist, those leading these exercises appear oblivious to the deeper anxieties simmering below. The drills yield no complaints, and laughter echoes, masking the gravity of the situation. But how could a nation be stable while methodically rehearsing for disaster? It seems that in Europe today, the threat isn't just external, it's embedded within the very heart of society. As Lithuania pushes forward with evacuation drills that unfold less like military maneuvering and more like app-based narratives, one must ponder, what new challenges await? Are they truly prepared? In a land where the lines between security and panic blur, the preemptive measures might very well be more of a performance than a preparation. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, a different yet equally eerie picture emerges. As it announces a temporary peace during the Olympics, the underlying tension remains. The specter of war isn't suspended, rather it simmers beneath the surface. While Kiev plays a diplomatic game, reality unfolds in a sequence of sirens and gunfire. Is this promise of peace merely a lull, a deceptive calm before the inevitable storm? As the world watches, the dissonance grows clear. One country readies itself for athletes, while another braces for potential tragedy. The juxtaposition of hope and despair grips the continent, raising a crucial question: how do we navigate a reality where the lines between safety and conflict are so painfully thin? With every drill and every announcement, a haunting truth lingers: can we ever truly be prepared for chaos? An unsettling calm envelopes the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, where once tourists sipped coffee by tranquil shores. Now, alarm bells ring as preparations for mass evacuation signal that something ominous lurks on the horizon. 6 million people stand on the edge, ready to flee, not from nature's fury, but from the chaos of war. This isn't the deep echo of distant thunder or the whisper of a coming storm, it's a palpable tension born from the fear of conflict. As life plods on, a new normal emerges, evacuations orchestrated with the precision of a smartphone app. Citizens are instructed to download special software that guides them through escape routes, transforming impending disaster into a digestible digital task. Ironically, this technological convenience may crumble in chaos, grainy Wi-Fi and emergency alerts jumbled together in a frenzied scramble for safety. In Lithuania, anxiety fizzes in the air as residents await buses at designated points, their gazes scanning the horizon. They seem trapped in an odd performance, masks shielding anxiety, phones capturing half-hearted smiles, backpacks burdened with the weight of uncertainty. A theatrical atmosphere hangs over this grim rehearsal. How do you practice for an apocalypse? Meanwhile, Latvia leans into its own role-play, presenting an exercise designed for chaos control. Amid smoke and chaos, troops enact scenarios that blur the lines between training and reality. Do they expect to become the architects of disorder, leading to eventual panic? This perplexing contradiction of creating chaos to understand it encapsulates a chilling philosophy. As the drama unfolds, military personnel toss debris and set fires, all while maintaining a facade of order. Is this a well-coordinated safety drill or the trailer for a harrowing film? The distinction eludes observers. To add to the troubling narrative, Ukraine boldly asserts its readiness for peace, but only during the upcoming Olympic Games. Will silence prevail just long enough for athletes to compete? When the Games conclude, will the echoes of war resume, thundering through the streets like an unwelcome serenade? The looming question is stark: while nations prepare for conflict, is anyone truly ready for the catastrophic reality they practice for? The illusion of control edges ever closer to the brink of collapse. What happens when the performances turn into the genuine fray of survival? The air thickens with tension. Echoes of past struggles remind us that at any moment, the stage might shift from a pre-scripted exercise to the raw chaos of battle. In a world where chaos looms, the lines between preparation and reality blur. Countries that once thrived on calm in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia now brace for conflict with mass evacuations looming. The picturesque scenes of tourists sipping coffee by the coast have been replaced by anxiety, as millions prepare to flee not from natural disasters but from impending war. Caught in the crosshairs while the sun sets over tranquil streets, the governments initiate drills for citizen protection. Every detail seems rehearsed, designed to provide a facade of safety, a push of a button to alert citizens, an illusion of control. Yet, the sobering truth is that during real emergencies, the technology meant to protect falters, and chaos reigns. It raises a troubling question: if there's nothing to worry about, why are entire nations scrambling to evacuate? A shocking revelation. Meanwhile, Ukraine tries to project a sense of peace amidst turmoil. They've committed to not firing any shots during the upcoming Olympic Games, a mere 2-week window where humanity pretends everything is normal. Yet this temporary cessation sounds as hollow as promises. A failed ceasefire becomes mirrored copy in a world growing accustomed to violence. As the Olympic flame flickers, the sound of sirens fills the air, a grim reminder that moments of silence are fleeting. Can the world truly call for peace while the shadows of war linger in every corner? Disturbing tensions as reality seeps through the charade, panic may overshadow the so-called plans for security. When soldiers engage in simulated chaos, are they preparing for an enemy or their own citizens? The imagery is haunting, a staged performance where the lines between a drill and real crisis are frighteningly thin. What happens when it's not just practice, but survival? As the eerie stillness blankets cities, evacuation plans transform into necessity, with officials touting numbers and successes that ring hollow. Who remains in control when the real battles are fought within? The reality could soon become painfully evident. With each drill, citizens start to question, are we prepared for our own salvation, or are we witness to a looming tragedy? The stark irony leaves us pondering, as nations prepare for a conflict that has not yet fully erupted, is the world edging toward an indelible transformation, or continuously tiptoeing around its own destruction? This unsettling orchestration signals a dangerous dance with destiny, where unexpected outcomes could redefine our understanding of safety and normalcy in a world perpetually on the brink. In the throes of uncertainty, a shadow looms over Ukraine, a land torn by conflict. As the world prepares for another Olympic celebration, one nation is bracing itself not for athletes but for an onslaught of chaos. Diplomats shuffle and speak in hushed tones, while the reality on the ground tells a more harrowing tale. The stark contrast between nations, one planning for glory, the other for survival, paints a poignant picture. Will this be the new norm? Reports swirl claiming that the situation in Ukraine is under control, but often, the bravado masks a deeper fear. Power outages have become ordinary, families scramble for resources like milk and bread, treasuring the little light they have left as it flickers ominously. Oleg Papenko, an insightful expert, notes that the quiet in Kiev may just be the eye of the storm, and each moment of calm could be deceptive. How much longer can the illusion of stability last when missiles still threaten the skies? With every drone hum and siren wail, life begins to feel like a constant countdown. The rhythm of conflict blends into an uncomfortable routine. It's alarming how easily people adapt to dread, going about their days as if tragedy isn't merely a heartbeat away. A single moment can shift lives, whispers of news about infrastructural degradation creep in. What happens when the flow of water stops, and the light flickers out? As Papenko predicts, the grim reality may soon become routine. The authorities portray control, yet the narrative hints at a different story. When officials boast about equipment being restored to operational levels, red flags go up. Without electricity, how can the pumps work? How do they maintain the flow of life in a city slowly choking on its own fears? Each answer raises more questions. And as the potential for more conflict lingers overhead, one wonders how long until the veneer of normalcy shatters? As the night descends, the streets dim, and the whispers of discontent grow louder. It's clear now that the infrastructure may be crumbling, but the will of the people remains. How will they face what is yet to come? The unraveling has begun, but the heart of Ukraine beats on, resilient against the tide. In recent times, the situation in Ukraine has evolved significantly, with authorities claiming that critical infrastructure has reached a restoration level of 90%. Yet, countless questions linger. Where is the water coming from if the pumps are idle due to power outages? How can stations operate if generators can't even handle basic needs? These inquiries expose a troubling illusion of stability, hiding a deeper fragility beneath the surface. People are adapting to this grim reality. Smoke fills the air as they light candles and seek warmth beneath the scant sunlight that filters through. As winter approaches, uncertainty reigns over their ability to endure without heating and electricity. Against this backdrop, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky presents a facade of optimism during briefings filled with promises and strategies that only echo past dilemmas. He announces America's commitment to forging a robust defense agreement, a gesture that, in diplomatic terms, translates to more weapons flowing into Ukraine. New surface-to-air missile systems and partnerships aim to safeguard strategic locations, from power plants to bridges.
However, the map he presents makes it seem as though Ukraine requires a fortress-level defense, a stark representation of a beleaguered nation desperately clinging to its existence.
Zelensky's words paint a picture of resilience, but with the shadow of Donald Trump looming in the U.S. political landscape, there's an ominous undertone.
Trump has not pledged unwavering support for Ukraine's fight.
In Kyiv, such statements are interpreted as support. Yet they carry a warning: America may grow weary of financing a war with no resolution in sight.
Though he insists on optimism and the determination to fight for the nation, the reality is that the very fabric of support may soon fray.
In the midst of these complexities, the air vibrates with tension. The hope for stability clashes with the nightmare lurking just beyond the horizon. As the season shifts, so too does the resolve of the Ukrainian spirit.
How long can they endure the dual burdens of survival and expectation? Will any glimmers of hope truly materialize, or are they merely fleeting shadows in a darkened landscape? Only time will reveal the answers in this ever-tightening narrative.
In the quiet realms of the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, an unsettling tension brews beneath the scenic facades. Once serene beaches, where tourists languidly sipped coffee, now echo with preparations for a mass evacuation.
Can you imagine fleeing not from natural disasters, but a looming war?
With a combined population of 6 million, these nations stand on the precipice, filled with anxiety about an impending chaos that no one dares to name.
Official reports showcase citizens undergoing drills and emergency procedures, preparing to flee at a moment's notice. But is this mere practice, or a harbinger of something much darker?
As the sun sets over the Baltic, in a seemingly ironic twist, the very tools meant for protection, the mobile applications designed to aid evacuation, remind us of just how fragile our safety has become. Imagine receiving a notification on your smartphone about a potential evacuation route while life goes on as usual around you. This darkly comic irony sharpens when we witness the reality of chaos: the buses ready to transport people, the crowds, the uncertainty.
It feels like a bizarre performance, one that oscillates between playful drills and the gut-wrenching weight of impending reality. Meanwhile, over in Ukraine, the rhetoric is thick yet thin-skinned.
President Zelensky, with a weary voice cloaked in a diplomatic facade, discloses information about relentless assaults involving 550 drones and missiles. His stats ring hollow, reverberating with an echo of despair.
As he speaks,
there's a palpable shift. His confident facade gives way to an aura of struggle, underscoring survival over victory.
Is this the resilience of a leader under immense pressure, or simply the slow crumbling of promises?
And then, the crux of the matter, the money. The very lifeblood of resistance rests in the hands of European financiers, who hold €300 billion tantalizingly just out of reach. It's a crossroads, where trust seems to evaporate between callous banking institutions and a war-torn nation.
Zelensky's calls for aid meet a wall of hesitancy. Can Europe really afford to relinquish trust? The fundamental question echoes in the air: if nations falter in their commitments today, who will stand firm against the storm tomorrow?
In the tense shadow of these realities, anxiety deepens. The crisis not only pinches the morale of those on the ground, it reshapes the very fabric of alliances and expectations.
The laughter once shared over weekend brunches fades, replaced by hushed conversations of durability and desperation.
As Europe grapples with maintaining its moral high ground amidst tightening financial constraints, the world watches with bated breath.
The mask of diplomacy conceals much, but can it truly withstand the reality just beyond the horizon? Events spiral into surreal awakenings, creating a sense of urgency that pushes individuals toward actions they never thought necessary.
The call to arms, the unexpected reshaping of identities, thrust into the spotlight, igniting a quiet determination. The echo of preparation crackles through the cities,
challenging the belief that armed conflict is merely a distant nightmare. As the line between drills and reality blurs, a profound question lingers: what happens when the sanctioned simulations of war become an unsettling new norm?
And now, as the Olympic Games approach, the dialogue shifts again, but this time, it's punctuated with irony. Ukraine's leaders pledge a temporary ceasefire during the Games, a gesture that seems almost too surreal to fathom.
Can silence exist in a country wrought with turmoil?
Is this the world's fleeting chance at peace, a mirage amidst the shattering cacophony of drone strikes? The landscape of uncertainty morphs, as the jubilant spirit of competition hangs precariously, teetering on the brink of despair. Yet behind every closed door, the persistent clamor of hope and fear vibrates simultaneously. How can a nation fully embrace the thrill of the games when the specter of war lingers just out of sight? As the world juxtaposes the grandeur of athletic achievement against the somber reality of conflict, an unsettling reflection emerges. Is the spectacle of sports merely a distraction, a grand stage overshadowed by the harsh truths of survival? Ultimately, with every fleeting moment, the stage is set for a dramatic tension, echoing unanswered questions that are woven into the very fabric of our lives. Will we wake up in a new world, or will the echoes of the past catch up with us? The answer lurks in the shadows, waiting. The bleak reality across Europe has morphed into a peculiar theater of war, where the value of freedom is debated in boardrooms and investment meetings, stripped of significance when it comes to real action. The European narrative is filled with lofty ideals, but when it comes to confronting the inescapable truth of financial loss, these values crumble. Yet, Europe finds itself wrestling not only with a sense of purpose but also with a paralyzing fear of losing its financial grip. Envision a world where children, once innocent, are burdened with the knowledge of how to assemble weapons. This is no longer the Ukraine we knew, it's transformed into a military stronghold. The very fabric of society has been rewritten, where even the youth must adapt to survive in a reality rife with chaos. Meanwhile, Europe brims with uncertainties, as the specter of refugees looms closer, ready to engulf nations on the brink of war. America conducts foreign affairs like a stage production, where geopolitical maneuvers serve only to boost headlines, not hopes. In all this, people have grown numb, resigned to the same narratives replaying ad nauseum. Sanctions, mobilizations, and conflicts emerge as commonplace as a top-selling smartphone model. The pressing question is, what remains when the smoke clears? What does it mean when freedom is discussed in terms of profits? This is a world veering into precariousness, where significant powers trade genuine strategies for mere words. As chaos engulfs authorities, one must ponder if this newfound stability is merely an illusion. Tomorrow, society may wake up to the same headlines: everything is under control. To believe it, simply flip on the news and savor the familiarity of these empty reassurances. What will this charade mean for tomorrow's reality? The uncertainty that echoes through these words suggests a haunting truth. While we pretend to control our destiny, the grip may be loosening, and soon, we might find ourselves in a world where nothing is as it seems.